Hello, friends. Welcome to the LeggLife Podcast. My name is Adam.
My name is Sherry.
Sherry Beth, what episode is this?
44.
This is a special one because earlier today, we actually got off the Disney Wonder. So as you guys are listening to this, if you're listening on yesterday, Friday, because we're recording it Friday night, we got off the ship for our first ever LeggLife Viewer Cruise.
Yep.
And we thought for this podcast, let's give you our complete, immediate, unfiltered reaction and emotions as soon as we got off the ship.
Yeah.
Rather than kind of having time to process it, have time to think, let's just turn on the microphone, record, talk about the viewer cruise, let you know some stories that you may or may not see in the vlogs, and just sort of give you, our immediate reaction.
Yeah.
You ready, Sherry?
Yep.
All right, so where I want to start is the fact that one of our concerns was that you as an introvert would be dramatically overwhelmed on this cruise.
Yeah.
And so we would get off the ship and you would be basically like dead and exhausted from people and almost like needing to retreat into yourself for a while.
Yeah.
How are you doing compared to how you thought you would do?
Much better, actually. And I think a big part of that was just the lack of crowds. And so it's not so much, talking to people one-on-one that drains me. It's like being in crowds. And I think like that just wasn't really a thing on this cruise. There were so few people on the ship. And I think that really helped me because I was able to talk to anybody who came up to us and wanted to chat without it really draining me.
Yes. So a normal Disney cruise for you
Yeah.
is exhausting just because of like the crowd level.
Yes, exactly.
And so that was kind of taken away on this cruise.
Yep.
Okay, so getting off the ship, how are you feeling emotionally, physically, all of that kind of stuff? Give us a Sherry update post cruise right after the cruise.
Okay, so I'm tired.
Okay.
And I hurt.
Yep.
My joints are really hurting today, and I think a big part of that is, well, two things. I ate like trash this whole week, and my body's just not used to that. So I think my joints are just like, what are you feeding me? But then also, I think like the constant balancing act of like physically balancing yourself with every step on a rolling boat. My joints are just really not happy. And so we checked into our hotel and we crashed. Like I fell asleep for probably, I don't even know, like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I think that is indicative of where I'm at.
Okay. So physically exhausted, but you said something on the ship that I think was really interesting, that some of the physical, even like the pain, the soreness, could be because when you're on the ship, and if you've been on a cruise, you guys may understand this, like you walk different, especially when the ship is like rocking or moving.
Which it was the first day and the last day.
And so some of your soreness could be even just from the fact of like using muscles that you haven't used in a while, trying to like constantly balance yourself.
Yes, and I think that just being on my feet a lot,
Totally.
too. Like, walking end to end of the ship, 100 times a day. My body's just not used to moving that much. And so, it was more movement than I'm used to, but also a different kind of movement. So, I'm sore, but even just kind of that nap, I think, helped me out.
We also didn't have a ton of, really, there was one day we spent time by the pool reading, relaxing. There was, each day we'd have just kind of little bits of time in the stateroom. There was a day we took a nap, but it wasn't long periods of downtime.
No.
And so it really was, you were much more active on these days than like a normal day at home.
Yes, and honestly, I think I was more active than other cruises that we've taken. Because we wanted to be moving around the ship and being kind of, looking for people who wanted to talk to us. Like, that's what we were there for. And so I didn't really want to, like, sequester myself in the back corner of the deck like I normally would. Just so that I could, read in peace. Because that's not why we were there. Like, we were there to talk to our viewers. And so I did sit in the sun for a little bit. And honestly, my Nook yelled at me.
Yeah, this was funny.
Yeah, I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to make myself sit here for like an hour and just read. I slather on my sunscreen and sat by the pool and I was reading and my Nook kept yelling at me that it was too hot. And it was the day that we were in Cabo, and it was really hot. But so I would like kind of move and adjust and kind of try to keep my nook in the shade, and it was still just like, no, thank you. So I was like, oh, okay, well, apparently I'm not going to sit here anymore and read.
But honestly, that's something that we never considered, and I do feel like it's kind of like a Disney cruise tip in some ways.
Yeah.
Because you intentionally brought a nook with all of your Harry Potter books on it, because you want to pack a whole bunch of real books.
Yep.
However, the nook forced you to like
not read.
Yeah, I know. Because it was so hot outside. So that's a pro tip for sure.
Yeah, and I did bring a paperback book. Mm-hmm. I just didn't have it with me because I was just like, I'm just going to go sit in the sun and read my Harry Potters.
Not for long, you weren't.
Nope, not very long. It was honestly like 15 minutes.
So you're not feeling as overwhelmed by people or exhausted in that way as you expected?
Not nearly as much.
But physically feeling tired?
Physically, yes.
Okay. I'd say for me, we didn't expect me to get off the ship feeling overwhelmed by people because I love that. And I really did. I loved getting connected to all the people. It's funny because for me, I have some almost sadness that we weren't able to connect with people more.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that in future videos and stuff, but there are some things that I had wanted us to be able to do as a group that we weren't able to. And so in some ways I'm like, crap. Like I loved the moments we got with people, but I wanted more of that. Like I wanted more of that. And so I was a little disappointed in that just from what we were able to do with COVID and all that. Physically, I feel pretty good. Definitely tired just from lack of sleep. I was waking up much earlier on the ship than I do at home.
And staying up later.
And I feel like some of that is just like, oh my gosh, there's so many things I don't want to miss out. And I feel like if I'm laying in the stateroom, I'm missing out because there's so much good stuff to do. And there's like so many people to meet. And so I would wake up. I remember one morning I woke up at like 6 a.m. My eyes just like wide awake, 6 a.m. And I was like, all right, gotta go. And so I like walked out, watched the sunrise, and just kind of was out and about. So I'd say I'm feeling about how I expected getting off of the ship.
Physically, just tired.
Yeah, but physically just tired. But I will say not physically tired in a way where it's like, man, this is going to take me a long time to recover. I felt like the nap today actually really helped. Mm-hmm. I feel like, getting home and having a good night's sleep at home Saturday night will help. Maybe a nap on Sunday will help. And so I don't feel like my recovery from this cruise is going to be as long as maybe I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
What do you think? Same for you?
I'm not sure. And a lot of this is like new territory because I just have to do things differently than I did a year ago.
Yeah, and so you're still learning that stuff out.
I'm still learning how to take better care of myself. And so, and really, some of it was like, I really wanted to stay up late with everybody, and I wanted to go to karaoke, and I wanted to do the trivia and, all that kind of stuff, but my body said no thank you. And so listening to my body, I mean, I still pushed it harder than I think I should have, but, listening to it when it's just like, no, we're done now, regardless of what you want to keep doing. I will say, though, I was proud of you because I feel like you did that. Yeah. At least, like, in the evenings, there were, 2 nights at least that I remember where it's like, hey, like, we're all going to go out, or we're going to go do this, we're going to keep doing stuff, we're going to get together kind of like late night, and you were just like, I'm going to actually go to sleep. And so I felt like you did a good job of not pushing. I mean, you might have pushed yourself more than you normally would have, but you certainly could have stayed up with us till 2 a.m. You know what I mean? And I wanted to, and there was a lot of, like, as I was laying in bed, I was just like, this sucks. Like, I just want to be out, hang out with all of our new friends, and my body was just done, so. Yeah,
well, I was proud of you for the way you did that.
Thank you.
That you, because I do know that you didn't want to let people down. Yeah. And you had some concern about, well, if I stay in my room, am I letting them down? I'm here for them.
Yeah. Are they going to be upset or mad or sad that I'm not hanging out with them?
And actually, that's a really good transition to something else I want to talk about. And just so you guys know, a lot of what we're talking about today, these are just kind of our first immediate thoughts. Some of the stuff you may see in our upcoming cruise vlogs. Some of the stuff we may touch on in future videos. But this is just kind of, honestly, this is kind of just like a brain dump.
Yeah.
Like a post-cruise brain dump.
Conversation.
But what you just said reminded me of something that I appreciated so freaking much. because you guys, the entire cruise from day one until the very end of the cruise, there were so many of you guys who came up to Sherry and was like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay with people? Like, and people just, it almost felt like our whole community on board was trying to protect you.
Trying to make sure that I didn't get too tired out.
Oh
and
my gosh.
I really appreciated that. And actually and it did make me feel better about not pushing myself, later in the evenings, because it was all day, every day. How you doing? How you feeling? Are you exhausted? Like, are you peopled out? Are you, and I really actually appreciated that.
They were checking on you a ton.
Yeah.
And so that was, I don't know, you guys, I was so touched by that, because it's a viewer cruise. And in some ways it was like, oh, we're there for you guys. And, we have to give you as much as we possibly can. And it felt like you guys cared really well for Sherry in just like checking, which you just checking in on her gave her almost like permission. Not that you needed it, but it kind of did give you permission to be like, you know what? It's okay for me to go to my room.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah, me too.
Man, that was such a big deal.
I appreciate it.
All right, Sherry, a couple moments from the cruise that stand out to you. Like, are there specific moments that make you laugh or make you smile, or just like, what are some of the doesn't even have to be highlights, but just things, memories you're taking with you?
I mean, we won trivia.
Okay. You guys.
This is our 7th cruise, and we had yet to actually win, like, the Mickey medal, and we did it.
We finally frickin' did it.
By 1 point.
We have won 90s music trivia. But what we have heard, and we did this on the Blast cruise with Maddie and Desi, we had heard that they only give out the Mickey medals for, like, Disney trivia. Mm-hmm. Other trivias, they give out, like, different gifts, like, and
luggage
things.
tags or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we had never won a Mickey medal. Viewers had sent us Mickey medals.
Yeah.
But we didn't have our own.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it, we have our own.
Yeah, we do.
Now, don't even mind the fact that it was like a trivia very early in the day on port day. So there were, I don't know, like 8 or 9 other teams.
If that.
If that. But our friend Jordan was there, and she is basically like the Michael Phelps, the Simone Biles, the Michael Jordan of Disney trivia.
The floor with the trivia.
She's unbelievable. Genuinely unbelievable. And
we beat her by 1 point.
Take that, Jordy, if you're listening. I'm just kidding. That was a ton of fun. I was so glad we finally got to win trivia.
Me too.
It really was something that, like, I know it sounds so dumb because it's like a trivia on a cruise ship, but like for us,
Disney themed.
But like for us, it was like one of the things that we genuinely really wanted to do.
I know, like I wanted to earn it. I'm really, thankful for our viewers who sent us the medals, but like these we can say we actually earned. Like we wrote down the correct answers, and I was just really happy about that.
Oh, so cool. One thing that stands out to me, and this is community based, and I'm going to keep it, made me think of it just even saying Jordy's name. So the night before the cruise, we were walking around at the Zachmans, and we kind of are approached by this group of people, and it's Jordan Thompson, and Jordan is like there's a car outside of our hotel honking their horn, and I'm not sure if... Oh, you guys, let me give you the setting for recording this podcast real quick. We're laying in our bed in our hotel with our podcast mic between us recording this.
Yep.
So there you go. There's the setting.
Super
and there's
fancy.
Car outside honking his horn. So we're walking around and we see Jordan walk up, and Jordan is part of our Instagram community, just truly amazing. And her mom, who we don't know is her mom.
Right, but
this is the part.
But we know Leanne.
Leanne is like... Leanne has been around. She's been a part of like FE groups before on previous cruises.
I want to say our first or second cruise. Like it was early in our cruising life.
And so we've known Leanne. Mm-hmm. We've known Jordan. You guys, we had no clue they were mother and daughter.
Did not make the connection until they walked up together, and I was like, oh my gosh.
It was so ridiculous.
Like same last name, they look a lot alike. Like I don't know how it just didn't click until I actually saw them together. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And then Sherry and I, like so many times throughout this trip, have been like, can you frickin' believe that they are mother and daughter? Like how did we not make this connection?
Same last name. I don't know.
But it was things like that that made this cruise so special to me because, It was just those community like aha moments.
Yep.
Or even people that we have interacted with for, I mean, hours and hours and hours on Instagram lives and YouTube comments to be like, oh, like, that's what you look like. That's what you sound like. That's what your voice sounds like.
Yeah. And I think like that was one of my favorite things about this cruise is that, you know, for years we've seen screen names or email addresses or whatever, like, you know, from all of you guys. And actually being able to put a face to those names, like now, I think when we go live on Instagram or we, you know, read comments on our YouTube, like, I think that's just, we know who you are.
We were talking to someone who was on the cruise with us, Chris, after we got off the ship this morning, kind of over in front of the Wyndham Hotel. And I said something to her that, and this is one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite things about like meetups. It's one of my favorite things about the viewer cruise is that from now on, from this point forward, every time I see you guys in Instagram lives or leave comments on Facebook or on Instagram or on YouTube, when I see your screen name, you're no longer just a screen name. You are now a person, and I can picture your face and hear your voice reading that comment.
Yep.
And that makes it makes it so much like just like so much more personal.
Yeah.
Like you are, and it's going to sound weird, but like so many of you became actual people to us. You know, I mean, you were, but remember, you guys get to watch us and see our faces and hear our voices and see like our real lives, but we never get that at all. And so in some ways, events like this and things like this help our community become real to us.
Yeah.
And so it just, oh my gosh, we're going to talk a lot about that in future videos.
Yeah.
But that without a doubt was the most amazing thing for me. Sherry Beth, any other highlights that stand out to you? Or any like, dang it, that was a real disappointment. Any like hilarious bummers or anything like that?
Oh, I'm sure we had those.
Don't say banana soft serve because I'm about to talk about that one. I dibs on that.
Well, all right. I don't know. I mean, without going into too much detail because we will talk about it in future vlogs, I do feel like it was slightly lesser experience, but not really.
Okay.
I feel like it was different.
Okay. Yep.
You know, I think like there was still the magic, there was still the excitement. It was just different. But not in a bad way, I don't think.
No, not in a bad way at all. And we are going to make a video talking about a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think, Sherry, it's the perfect way to describe it. It's different, but it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Different doesn't mean bad.
Right.
And different doesn't mean bad in this instance. And we'll go into that full in detail in a coming video. I think for me, again, the biggest bummer, and this tells you how good the cruise was, there was no banana soft serve.
Right. None.
The whole cruise.
I know.
Okay, now here's the thing. I've told people this a couple times. I'm going to be honest. I don't know that the banana soft serve is actually as life-changing as I make it out to be.
Right.
I think a lot of it is nostalgia for me because when I think of banana soft serve, I think of all of the joy and happiness of being on board Disney Cruise Line.
Yeah.
And so to me, banana soft serve or saff serve, banana saff serve is tied to being on a Disney cruise ship, which is such a place of happiness for me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if the banana soft serve is that great, but for me, it's tied to great memories, and that makes it worth it. So it was disappointing to me they didn't have any, but I'm not going to lie. That mango was delicious.
It actually really was.
Yo, that mango was really good.
I mean, and I'm gonna, it might be a little bit blasphemous here, but
Sherry, don't do this.
I didn't miss the banana soft serve.
Okay. Well,
I didn't because the mango strawberry swirl was delicious.
Here's what I'm going to say. I hope to hell this hotel has another room available tonight because I'm getting my own separate room after that. No, I'm kidding. It really was a tremendous cruise. We are going to need time to kind of process the whole experience because it was, you guys, okay, Sherry and I are a very normal, very average couple who lives in Alaska. Like, I promise you, we really are just normal, super average people who work average jobs, who live average lives, who drive like probably below average vehicles, who live in like, a below average townhome.
Beat up.
Who has
11-year-old vehicles.
Yeah, who have like an extra chonky cat. Like we are just like super normal people. And the fact that for 4 days you guys made us feel so special and so known and so seen was crazy.
Yeah.
Like what we experienced on the ship, we've been recognized before. Obviously, people have, know who we are and watch our videos. Never, ever, ever to that extent.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that will take some time to process. And in some ways, I one of the thoughts, I think I've said this to Sherry a couple times, like, Sherry, how did we do this? Like,
how did we get here?
How did we get here? Like, we walk back to our stateroom and, we get stopped 10 times trying to get back to our stateroom with people who want to have really great, amazing, important conversations with us, which we loved.
Yeah.
But then we get to our stateroom and it's like, how did this happen? Like, how did we do this? Like, how did we get so lucky to have these great people in our lives?
Yeah.
And so that's going to take some time for us to process. But, Sherry, here's one of the questions. LeggLife Viewer Cruise 2.0. Another one. What are you thinking? Right now, instant thoughts, just getting off the ship. What do you think?
I would do it.
Boom.
I would
Completely.
do it again.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And so there was one night that we were in the Cadillac Lounge with Cam and Laura, and the pianist came up to us. Like, she had just finished her set and, came up to chat, and we chatted for a little bit, and she was like, wait, are you guys like the big family that's on board? And that made me so happy. I was just like,
actually, yes.
Yes, we are. And she was like, how many did you bring? And we were like, over 100. And she was like, oh my gosh, and like your family? And I was like, well, sort of. So we kind of talked to her about our YouTube channel and stuff, and like just the community that has been built.
And it was really funny because in some ways I feel like she was playing with us because she was like, oh, so you're the big family on board, all that kind of stuff. And then she was like, LeggLife, right? She's like, yeah, I do my research. And so it was almost like she knew, even going into that conversation, but like, we're not not like, oh yeah, we have a YouTube channel.
That's us.
Hey, that's us. Right. And so we were trying to like not say necessarily, I don't know what it was. And she just like called us out. And I loved hearing, like, when she described, like, oh, you guys are the big family on board. It was like, yeah, that's exactly what we are.
Yeah, that made me so happy.
And there were times I remember walking around the ship and we would look over and we would see, different groups of LeggLifers or a couple different couples sitting together who didn't know each other before the cruise. And they would be, like, talking. And I would just, like, want to burst with pride because you guys were connecting to each other and you guys were being community and family with each other. And you guys, I don't know, it was, I told Sherry a little bit earlier, this is the best description of the LeggLife Viewer Cruise I can give. It's adult summer camp.
Yeah.
Do you remember you went to summer camp? You had this amazing experience. It was so great. The goodbyes were so sad. And it was like, we'll see you next time. We love you guys. And
you're my best friend.
And then you like fill your social media feed with all of the awesome things you did at summer camp.
I mean, we didn't have social media when we were at summer camp. But...
Sherry, I'm trying to make them not think we're as old as we are.
No, we are.
We totally had social media. We were very cool kids. But like you would, what would we do? Mail photos to each other, probably?
Yes, and post photos on our actual physical walls.
Such a nerd. But that's kind of what it feels like. I felt like we had community summer camp.
Yeah.
And there are all these connections that were made and these bonds that were made and these relationships that were formed. And I am hours away from the ship as far as like from when we got off the ship. And I am absolutely bubbling over with pride and happiness and joy and like emotion. And there were so many times today that I was just on the verge of tears because of just the emotion of it all. And it was truly, truly spectacular.
Yeah.
It was beyond what I imagined it could be. And that's even with the things that we weren't able to do.
Yeah.
That's even with the things that we didn't get to do, kind of the things that were sort of losses for me that I want to make sure we do next time. And that's the nice thing is that you kind of learn as you go. And so I already have this list of things that's like, you know what? LeggLife Viewer Cruise next time is going to be an even better experience because we learned some things this time.
Yep.
So to the over 100 of you, one more thing. So we said it was like 109 people. And then, Sherry, on board, something happened.
Yes, which I sort of expected. And so we did bring extras of our little gifties. But yeah, so we had 109 people on our Facebook, Excel spreadsheet that we knew were going to be there. But we had a ton of people come up and say, hey, we're part of your community, but we're not on Facebook, so we're not on that list. So many of those. And so, like, we don't have an exact count of how many people from our community were actually on board, but we're guessing somewhere in the 120 to 130 range.
Yeah, there's no way to know. I do think it was 120 to 130.
On a ship that had 973 passengers.
I think, something like that.
Right. So we were, I don't know the percentage because I don't do math, but we were a big chunk of that.
Yeah, it was so cool. So to those 120, 130 people who joined us, thank you for making our viewer cruise so special and so spectacular.
Yes.
I don't know what it was like for you guys. We've heard great feedback so far, but here's what I can tell you is that it was far more meaningful and touching to us than we ever expected or thought. So
yep.
Thank you guys. Those are just our initial thoughts off the ship, and we're going to have a lot more to come in vlogs. The first cruise vlog is going up this next Monday. And so I think it's Monday the 25th. Is that right, Sherry?
25th.
So Monday the 25th of October, cruise vlog is going up. Cruise vlog number 1 is going up. So if you're listening to the podcast after that date, it's already up. So move your buns and go listen.
Yeah.
Go watch. So here's what I want to know. Here's the question, because we always try to give you guys a question that we want to hear an answer to. LeggLife Viewer Cruise 2.0. Would you go?
Would you go?
Want to know, are you somebody who's like, you know what? I followed along with hashtag the leg boat on Facebook and Instagram, and I had FOMO the whole time, and I wanted to be there, and gosh darn it, I'm not missing the next one because it looks like you guys had way too much fun.
Yeah.
Is that you? Is this something you would go on, or do you think it's super weird that people would cruise with YouTubers? Because honestly, kind of the same. As those YouTubers,
we think it's a little bit weird, but I'm so glad that we did it because again, we were able to actually, and these are people that I feel like have become friends. Like
yes,
they, and so often we heard, you guys got us through the pandemic. Thank you so much for being there for us, and all this kind of stuff, which is wonderful. But same, like you guys got us through as well. We were all in the same boat of, isolation and lockdown. And then with me being so sick earlier this year and like not being able to go anywhere. Yeah, like you guys got us through just as much as we got you through. So
yeah, you're our community as well. Don't forget that. Like I love that we were able to provide that for you guys, but don't forget that you were that for us as well.
Yeah.
So friends, we love you guys. Those are our unfiltered, our immediate thoughts after the LeggLife Viewer Cruise.
Cruising is back.
Cruising is back. And you know what? We're going to make a video about, and I don't know what I'm going to title it. I don't know if I'll include it in another video, but on this cruise, I kind of felt a bit of a charge, a bit of a challenge, a bit of an ask from one of the crew members on board that I cannot get out of my head. And I kind of am taking it as like a personal mission to make sure that I follow through and do what he charged me to do. And so we're going to talk more about that. But here's what I'll say. Cruising is back, and it was a tremendous, tremendous experience. And I'm so glad we went. And if I could get back on the ship today, without question, I would.
Yeah, it was different, but still magical.
Completely. Friends, we love you guys so very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the LeggLife community.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week with episode 45.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, friends. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.